Lewis Hart for The Ring magazine. Delighted today to be joined here in Riyadh with Frank Warren ahead of an interesting main event tomorrow, but a card full of Queensberry talent, but obviously headlined by Moses Itauma taking on Dillian Whyte. But first thing first, Frank, how's things? How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Bit hot, but
yeah,
I'm
very.
good. Well, it's not hot in here. We've got the air on, but outside, is it hot or what?
That's what I mean. I mean, it is hot, but you don't. When it's so aircon in here, you don't really get to feel it as much until you walk outside and it hits you like
walk
a
outside
brick.
and they put a hairdryer on your face.
An interesting main event tomorrow night. Moses Itauma versus Dillian Whyte, almost like a crossroads fight. Lots of questions to answer on both sides. What have you made of the build-up so far? I guess the first face-off yesterday, and a little bit of words exchanged between the pair.
Well, first of all, you got, Dillian's been there, done it, got the medals. He's been through all the controversial face-offs and press conferences, and you've got Moses, who's obviously a young man. It's his 13th fight. As I said, 20 years of age. He's very respectful. I think they showed a lot of respect to each other yesterday. I mean, a couple of little things were said, but it weren't nothing, that was going to, cause any problems. But they know what they've got, both of them. They know what the type of fight they've got. They've got a real tough fight on Saturday. Mm-hmm. It's a fight where, everybody, we always say one's going to go on, the other one's going to fall by the wayside. I mean, for Moses, he's a favourite going into the fight. If he got beat, it wouldn't be the end of the world. He's a 20-year-old guy. Depends how you get beat or if he learns from the fight. All those things. He wins the fight. He goes on. He gets himself further up the pecking order. And as far as Dillian's concerned, he can't afford to lose the fight. I mean, it literally is he needs to win this to keep his place in the pecking order and the top table. And so, there's a lot at stake, and you can see how much is at stake as far as Dillian's concerned because of the shape that he's got in. I've never seen him in this shape before. I mean, he looks in really, really good condition. I bet he's not been in condition like that since his early 20s. Yeah. So he's got himself into that condition, and he knows what's what and what's going to be like in there. So I'm looking forward to the fight. So I think it's an intriguing fight. I think it's the old adage, styles make fights. You're going to get a great fight out of this. I really do think it's going to be a really.
Something I wanted to ask you, Frank, and it was a question that Moses posed to me, and I found it quite interesting. With the public opinion of Moses, do you think it's a case of people rate him because he's young, or do people rate him just because he's good? Because I was of the opinion, I think it's just because he's good. But do you think, where do you think it sort of lies between the two?
I think it's both.
Yeah,
he's a young man. He's the new kid on the block, isn't he? He's the kid, and he's what he's done. He's done it in tremendous style. I mean, his last few fights have been spectacular finishes. He's shown a lot of maturity in the ring. He's shown that he's got great composure. He takes his time. He bides his time. He's got a great jab. He finds shots. He's got great head movement. He's good on his feet. He's got fast hands. He looks the real deal. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he's a young guy, that's what you want to see. Fresh face. Most of the guys in the heavyweight division, I would say, 80% are in their 30s now.
When it comes to matchmaking, I'm sure you'd have seen it so many times before of heavyweights or young fighters in general who might look like the real deal and then they're pushed too early. How do you feel like when it's right for someone like Moses, especially now because Steve Bunt sort of referenced it. It's like once you beat Dillian Whyte, you're at that level now in your 20s. So how would you sort of look at manoeuvring someone's career when you are taking a world of a fight at the age of 20?
Well, you hope you make the right decision. You've heard me say it before. The best punches are the best timed punches, and the best matches are the best timed matches. You look at another fight, think for your guy, is it the right time? And you make a decision. And we made a decision. And by the way, Dillian's now signed with Queensberry. He's with Queensberry, so it's two guys are on our roster. He's a young guy that he's entrusted his career in with us. We're not bad normally at what we do, bringing young fighters through and getting them, developing them and getting them to win world titles. And he's for me, he's got more natural ability, more about him than a lot of fighters that I've been involved with in the past. So I'm not saying I'm ultra confident, because you can never be ultra confident. Anything can happen in boxing. But we thought about this match. We've made the match. What has surprised me, as I mentioned earlier, is the condition that he's come in at, Dillian. He's obviously put a lot of work into the gym.
Is there an exciting factor of seeing Moses have to answer those questions that he hasn't had to answer before? Because when it comes to, going into the deep waters or, getting the chin tested, I mean, he said to me something that was funny. He was like, you don't really know till you've got a good chin until you get hit by hit by a good shot. So is there an exciting factor that those questions, maybe not, whether it's in the Dillian Whyte fight or not, but sort of across the next sort of part of his career, that he's going to have to answer those questions of more games to his arsenal, I guess.
In boxing, you're going to get caught, you're going to get hit. It happens to everybody. It doesn't matter who it is, all of them, and they have losses on their record. The greatest heavyweights of all time. The Ali's, the Larry Holmes, the Foremans, they all got defeats. Some of them stopped. Some of them actually got stopped. It happens, but that didn't stop them from being great fighters. What will happen with Moses? We'll see if he gets caught, whatever. Someone takes it. He's actually been the distance. People forget that with a fiddler, a guy who really does. Johnson, who he's a very difficult guy to beat, and we put him in at a young age with him just to.
Was there that night? Yeah.
And that fight was made for a reason. I didn't particularly want it. And I thought, you know what? Let him see that he's not. Sometimes you're not going to knock him out. You've got to find Plan B, and that works. And he said to me, he didn't come to fight. I said, I don't want to come and stand in front of you to get knocked out. These guys, it's all about learning different styles. And, and he's a very smart guy, Moses, and knows what he has to do. But, of course, as I say, you look at lots of guys. I've seen so many fellas, like Nigel Benn when he turned pro, knocked everybody over, then suddenly didn't. You've got to have Plan B. You've got to learn. And that's part of the game. And this fight's going to be a telling fight for him.
It's hypothetical, but looking good tomorrow. Is Usyk, is that a proposition or a fight that would be interesting?
At this stage of the game, I don't want to talk about his next fight to this one. This one's an important one. And we'll look at the options after that. But Usyk has to been ordered by the WBO to defend his title against Joe Parker. He's asked for a 90-day extension due to an illness. They've told him they're giving him 30 days. So Joe Parker is the next guy in unless Usyk gives up the title.
Just wanted to quickly touch on that there about the extension given to Usyk for the negotiation for the Joseph Parker fight. Guess what your thoughts on it? Is it a bit frustrating because Parker's been waiting for quite some time now? I mean, the WBO interim, as I say, that was contested for over sort of 3 years now.
Fighters get injured.
Yeah.
And that's. I have no control over what Alex does. No control. He's not promoted by us. Joe is. And we've done well with Joe to get him to where he's at, and he's done well in the ring. So sometimes these things happen, and you've got to have patience. And of course, I think his brother was getting married, or was about to get married in October. We were looking to try and get a fight on that date, and they took that postponed. But it's out of our control. If a fighter's injured, he's injured. What can I do about it? It's not my fault. All I can do is say, this is where you are, and there are times in your life where you have to show some patience. Good promoters, good management, good fighters know that. If you want to just go in, you want to fight, then you're going to lose your position. That's your choice. Do you want to be the full world champion? Do you want to make big money? Then show a bit of patience. You've done it up to yet. If it's going to get pushed back, it may not get pushed back. We don't know until... first of all, whether he still may vacate, I have no idea. He may fight Joe. It may go to purse bids. They may promote it. We may promote it. It might be a joint promotion. At this stage of the game, nobody knows what it's going to be, and that's for me is one of the most frustrating things for me about it. It's like, who can we blame? Who are we going to try and moan and blame this on? There's no blame on anybody. It is what it is. The Usyk team are doing what they feel is best for their man because they're keeping all their options open. They're not vacating the title. They said he's injured. They produced a doctor's certificate, which I haven't seen, but I'm sure nobody's going to argue about that. As far as Joe's team is concerned, which is us, everybody's got to be sensible and do the right thing and stop wanting instant gratification. It's not going to happen.
Is it funny, because as boxing fans and boxing people, we all want an undisputed champion, but sometimes when it comes, there's always that frustration of contenders who are like, oh, the division's being held up and this and that.
Well, if you think about this, if you had one champion and he fights twice a year, all these guys are going to be backed up for how many years? If there's 6 of them, or just say there's 6 guys, it's going to be 3 years before one of them gets a chance.
I wanted to touch on Nick Ball taking on Sam Goodman as well. UK's only current male world champion. So a little bit of extra pressure on Nick Ball there on the Saturday night.
I'll tell you, the other guy fancies it, doesn't he? The Aussie, he's undefeated. He's coming up a weight, but he fancies it, and he seems pretty confident, as is Nick. I'm looking forward to it. Looks like it's going to be... Well, when's Nick never been... he's always in an exciting fight. He's one of the most exciting fighters out there. So, and I think that him and the Aussie will be something good.
Is there a concern with him, not him being the only male world champion, but the fact we've only got one world champion, and if, let's say, God forbid, he was to lose on Saturday?
That's all. I'm not even thinking about it. All he's focused on is being in the ring, facing the Aussie, defending his belt and getting and winning.
But I mean, on a wider scale, when you look at like British boxing and the prospect of there not being a male world champion for the first...
We've got plenty in the pipeline. Yeah. I mean, a couple of months ago, we had 3.
Yeah.
One had to vacate in Anto Kakachi. He had to vacate it, unfortunately. And we see the result with Daniel Dubois. But we've got about 4 or 5 guys in number 1 positions who are all fighting for the title.
Yeah. Filip Hrgovic and David Adeleye. A bit of a, I think when it got announced, it's a left field fight, but a real interesting one.
It's a tough fight. It's a tough fight for David. He's really stepping up to the plate. He asked for it. He asked for this. His team, they said they wanted to show what they're all about. Well, they got it. They're in with a good fighter who's come back with a good win. He beat Zhang. So, that is going to be, with Hrgovic, what you got. That's going to be a good fight. It's going to be an exciting fight as well.
Does it make it more interesting when it is a heavyweight? Like when you've got a big guy, when you've got a guy taking a step up, like it is one of the most unpredictable divisions in boxing. So, makes it extra interesting, I guess.
It does, because they're big guys. They're big punchers. You've seen that in these fights. All these guys, they carry power, and if you get caught, you're in trouble. It can turn a fight round. You see that with Fabio. Behind on the cards and boom, pulls it out of the bag. That is what these big guys can do. And these fellas, they're all got the bit between their teeth now, because they can all see. They all got their eyes on the prize. They all can see that they can get themselves into a big fight where they can earn some serious money. So, yeah, they're giving everything. And with David, he's basically trying to jump the queue. He's saying, right, I'll fight him. I'll have some of that. If I do that, then the next one I want an even bigger fight.
Away from Saturday night, I wanted to ask you about Daniel Dubois. Obviously, a few changes to his team. Brought Sam Jones in. Kieran Farrell's left the team. I know that's obviously different sides of management and coaching. But, I guess what are your thoughts, for the future of Daniel with, these changes?
We're going to have a meeting. I think it's not next week, the week after, and we'll sit down. I think I don't know if they're back yet, but they were in... they are now, aren't they? They was in Brazil. They're back now, the family. So when I get back after this, we're going to sit down and we're going to have a really good heart-to-heart chat about the future.
What was your reflection on that night of Usyk and what's followed since then? Obviously, a lot of people have come out with all different opinions of it. And
I'm not going to go into it really until I see them. I mean, that's just, how I feel about it. I need to discuss it with the people who matter, and I'm not saying nobody else matters, but the people who I work with. I don't want to be putting it out there without having the conversation I'll have with Daniel and his team. There's a lot to be said. You got to learn. You learn from things, and you're moving forward. What everybody expects and what we want to do to make sure that next time round, he's in a better position when he goes into a fight. It's disappointing. One thing, I was disappointed the way it ended. Of course I was. But it is what it is. You can't change it. All you can try and do is learn from it. Young guy, as far as the heavyweight's concerned, he never took a belt in. I mean, went over twice, but he never took. He didn't get bashed up or anything.
I guess the sort of the, I don't want to say abuse, but the criticism you received then of like the stoppage and etc. of like people's different opinions, like how it is after a big fight. Did any of that find it frustrating?
I think that look, he was on the floor twice. I mean, what do you want? Yeah. You know, he was on the floor. He walked back to the corner. Well, yeah, and isn't that what you do when you get up? Where else are you going to go? You go back to your corner where your people. I ain't going to go to the neutral corner, am I? Yeah. That's what it is. He went down and that was it. I didn't. Some of the reports back, he weren't in it from the first round, you know, first couple. I thought he was doing okay in the first couple of rounds. He was doing okay, but he just, you know, he got clipped with good shots. And he was in with a really, really, really good fighter. You know, one of the best of his generation.
Always a pleasure, Frank. Appreciate taking the time. Enjoy tomorrow. All the best.
God bless,
Thank
mate.
you.